because they have found Sean Combs not guilty of leading a criminal enterprise, not guilty of racketeering conspiracy. They will now move to the other 4 counts, 2 of them on and on, and we have not guilty now on count 2, which was trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Sean Combs has been found not guilty of trafficking when it comes to his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
Gay in Hollywood, you never expected. They be having these big ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited in a month at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you around and look in the wrong room. Come here. Is that kissing? Is one of the Professor Ovi?
I've heard anybody else say until the federal government came in, because nobody knew, Mighty. Nobody knew before the federal government came in and hit Puff with those charges that any of this would have ever happened. You could not tell me, nobody could predict that this dude would be sitting on trial for his life.
Sean Diddy Combs, a man who went from running Uptown Records to running the culture, a name once synonymous with luxury, success, and the hip-hop dream. But now, that name is tangled up in one of the most high-profile criminal cases in modern entertainment. And while the world reacts to the verdict, there's one voice cutting through the noise. Katt Williams, a comedian, yes, but also a cultural whistleblower, someone who's been warning us for years that fame isn't always earned, and power isn't always clean. Today, we unpack what Katt Williams has to say about Diddy's trial, the system that shields men like him, and what it all means for the industry moving forward. This isn't just about a verdict, it's about a system cracking at the seams. Before we get to the courtroom, let's take a step back. Diddy isn't just another rapper, he's a mogul, a blueprint. From Biggie Smalls to Ciroc, from making the band to fashion, he's touched nearly every corner of the entertainment world. For decades, he was seen as the man behind the curtain, orchestrating the careers of legends and launching empires.
The judge ruled detention is mandatory with a Mann Act conviction, and there was no, there was limited exceptions there. Why exactly is he not out on bail, I guess, in layman's terms?
Under the statute in federal court, when you're convicted of certain types of offenses, detention is automatic. The defendant in this particular case was already detained, so it's a heavy burden for their defense to show that, well, Judge, he should be released despite the statute because these are the extraordinary and compelling circumstances that should allow his release and show that he's not a danger to the community, he's not a flight risk, and he'll abide by all the terms and conditions of release. The judge apparently didn't think that the defense has met that burden, which is, as I said, a pretty high burden.
How big of a loss is this for the government? I mean, you're talking about major charges, racketeering, conspiracy. You have prosecuted these at this level, Joel. How big of a loss for them to put this case up and then for them to lose on the 3 most serious charges? I
don't like to say loss, wins and losses, because it's the system. The jury system spoke. I will say there's disappointments, and I'm sure the prosecution in this particular case is disappointed. They had a lot of witnesses, they had to deal with a lot of victims that said this happened, but it went to the jury, and the jury is a system, and that's what we have to have faith in, and they spoke, and that's the decision that is there. So I'm sure the prosecution's disappointed in it, but he's still convicted of 2 felonies.
We heard last night there were some jury members with unpersuadable views on this case. We know last night that racketeering, they were, that was not decided last night. What happened in the 1 hour this morning when they all got together and deliberated? Because it only took an hour.
I wish I knew. If I did, I'd be hired as a jury consultant. But that's a difficult time. I mean, from the prosecution and the defense, you don't know what's happening because we don't have access to what's happening in the jury room. And you have 12 different people from all different parts of, cross-section community debating about how they see the evidence and view it. And they came back and told the court that, well, we can't reach an agreement. And then at that point in time, the court could have given what's called an Allen charge. My understanding, they gave a partial Allen charge. And the Allen charge is kind of dreaded by some people, especially defense, because some people view that it forces the jury to make a decision. But it's not really the case. It's been tried and tested in the appellate courts, and the court goes through and reads it specifically and says, listen, jury, you're in the best position to decide this case. You've heard it for this many days or weeks or months. No one else is going to do a better job than you are right here. So I'm instructing you to go back and take a look at your viewpoints, take a look at, discuss it amongst the other jurors, apply the law that I give you, and see what happens. It's my understanding in this case they give a partial Allen charge, and the jury went back and listened to the judge and came back.
But with power comes scrutiny, and over the years, stories started piling up. Quiet at first, brushed off as rumors, allegations, strange behavior, ex-partners saying they lived through dark, controlling environments, a few lawsuits here and there, settlements that never made it to trial. And then, Cassie. Her civil case last year was the dam that broke open the rest.
Diddy's trial. I mean, this Diddy situation is getting nastier and nastier and nastier. Rob, before I read this, is there anything you have? Obviously, the only thing we can see is paintings and drawings and all this other stuff.
And that artist should never, ever hold a paintbrush or a drawing pencil. That artist, in this the case, is horrible. And we'll go ahead.
Yeah, let me just. So Cassie Ventura testified Sean Diddy Combs controlled freak-off sessions, directing her to have male escorts, stating sometimes Sean and the escort would have intercourse with me. It was just like a lot happening at once, and specifying that escorts would ejaculate usually when it was okay for them. Per Sean, often, this is a New York Post story, folks, so earmuffs. Often on, if you got kids, just don't, I'm going to read this next part. I should have given you a warning. But if you got kids, pause the video and then continue. Often on her body, after which, are we really reading this? Urinating on her, saying sometimes,
it gets pretty,
Sean, he himself or the escort would urinate on me, including an overwhelming incident where she choked because too much urine was in her mouth. What?
Yep.
Ventura detailed the degrading nature of these drug-fueled freak-offs, noting she was high on ecstasy and MDMA, feeling sick almost every time, yet Combs would push her to continue, saying, continue on with the intercourse, even if I felt like vomiting or if I was vomiting. She described a session where a blow-up pool filled with baby oil applied every 5 minutes to keep participants glistening, and revealed Combs once left the freak-off to comfort rival Suge Knight. What?
Yeah.
No, to confront Suge Knight, not comfort.
To confront Suge to confront Suge Knight.
Hey, Suge, let me get real comfortable with you, baby.
Please don't do anything stupid.
It wasn't just about a personal relationship. It was about a pattern, a lifestyle, a system, some would say, of control and manipulation that ran far deeper than the public ever realized. And that's what led to the trial. The trial wasn't just about one incident. It was about years of behavior, testimonies from former girlfriends, assistants, hotel workers, even male companions of federal agents. What prosecutors laid out was a web of transport, control, and exploitation. The most serious charges? Racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking. Charges that could have put him away for life.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it, I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, going to rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
And while Diddy was ultimately found not guilty on those most severe counts, he was convicted on 2 felony counts, transportation for illicit purposes, relating to both Cassie Ventura and another woman, known publicly only as Jane. That alone could lead to 20 years in prison.
So Jane Doe, the point of her testimony is, I don't think it's very much so the RICO, it's the trafficking. Okay, they're trying to prove the trafficking charge. And the trafficking charge is going to be trafficked by fraud. So the by fraud means she was lied to. So it was a thing last week where they wanted to insert her her notepad from, like your notes in your iPhone, where you just go and jot down things, the notes app. So she would put down notes in her, she would actually write out text messages in her notes app where she would want to send to Diddy. So they were introducing them. Inevitably, they ended up introducing them. But the defense did not want them to introduce those notepad, text messages into evidence. But the prosecution said, no, we want to introduce those because it's not hearsay, but it goes to state of mind. And state of mind is what they need to prove for the trafficking by fraud. So the notes that she wanted to send to Diddy is, in those notes, it goes to what she was thinking, how she felt. It went to her state of mind. And what the prosecution is trying to prove or imply, and what Jane Doe is saying is, hey, I was frauded by him in traffic. Frauded means I thought that we were going to be in a relationship. I thought we were together. However, I was just a subject. He lied to me. The lie is the fraud. I hope I made that make sense. So this is the point of her testimony, to show that she was trafficked by fraud. She didn't realize she was trafficked, but she was lied to and deceived into being trafficked. So just so everybody knows, that's what it's given. Okay? And one thing that I also learned too is a lot of these people talking about being flown out, flied out. If you fly somebody out and that person then decides they were uncomfortable and you guys, messed around, or if you discuss, hey, I'm gonna fly you out, we're gonna around this weekend, whatever the case may be, whether you discuss it or whether you not, it gets really, really blurry. And that person can press charges against you and you can be charged with trafficking. So for all these people want to be flew out, you got to watch who you fly out, because if they flip a switch on you, you could be a trafficker. Just FYI.
Yet many believe the most damning elements, those involving powerful connections, deeper criminal networks, and potential blackmail operations, were buried, dodged, or managed behind the scenes. As Katt Williams put it, that wasn't justice, that was choreography. Katt has never been part of the Hollywood elite, and maybe that's why he can say what others won't. In his view, what just happened in that courtroom wasn't a surprise. It was a ritual. A high-profile figure takes the fall for just enough to quiet the storm, but not enough to expose what's really going on. Katt has long believed there's a machine behind entertainment, a network of protectors, influencers, and gatekeepers who ensure that when things get messy, damage is controlled, names are protected, stories disappear. He's said it before, the truth will get you killed out here. Or worse, ignored.
The truth is, I'm telling you, you can do whatever you want to do, but it's still consequences. Hollywood is finding that out right now. There's a drug problem in Hollywood. They can't even tell you about it. But y'all know I'll tell. Here's the truth, won't nobody say. That mother Ozempic is whooping Hollywood's ass. Do you hear me? They said Oprah took so much that Gail lost 12 pounds. Do you understand what I said? People are themselves to death. I done seen the numbers. I was flabbergasted. I know a woman that weighed 126 pounds. She lost 131 pounds. Did you just do that math in your head that she had to borrow a few pounds from her friends and family?
So when he watched Diddy dodge the heaviest charges, only to be convicted of something that still leaves the deeper machinery untouched, Katt saw it as another example of elite protection in real time. The way this trial unfolded had many people scratching their heads. Powerful testimonies, photos, audio recordings, patterns of violent behavior, hotel staff describing what they saw, Former employees talking about what they were told to clean up or ignore. And yet, the final outcome stopped just short of the full truth. Katt believes this isn't random. It's intentional.
But the escorts who testified about Cassie's them said she loved it. And I'm pretty sure if anyone would know, it would be the men who were balls deep inside of her. It was damning. Not to mention her current husband, it was in court, he was painted as the white knight in shining armor. Well, she was Diddy behind his back. Now, why do you do that if you've escaped this hell lifestyle that you were living for 10 years, weirdly? I mean, it was quite a long time. Why do you then go back to Diddy after you've escaped from him? And then you send Diddy messages when you're with the new husband saying, I'm lost without you. And that wasn't even the first time she cheated on someone with Diddy. When she left Diddy for Cudi midway through their relationship, she went back to Diddy, not just to by the way, to carry on doing more offs. She should be going to Diddy, having a party with him, sucking all this night, and then going back to Cudi, kissing him. Not only does that totally demonstrate that she had the free will to leave Diddy, go back to Diddy, and then leave him at the end of their relationship with no struggle from Diddy. No, you can't do this, I've got you under my control. There was none of that. She had the power to do what she wanted, when she wanted, and that was obvious. Especially when you read the text messages. When do you want to freak off? Lol, from Diddy. She says, lol, I'm just going up to change. I'm always ready to freak off. Lol, lol. There were so many messages of her just gagging for it. Let's be honest here. In another message about freak off, she said, I want to choke on those. I want it to be uncontrollable. There was one time when he went on a trip for work or something, and she messaged him after he left saying, I really wish we'd freaked off before you left. She was actively encouraging it. You don't need to say that. If you're a reluctant participant, you could just be like, no, I'm all good, mate. And she's like, no, please, let's do more. For me, this was a real bad one because this poor bastard here, she made her current husband look like a mug. So after she'd got with him, she was texting Diddy, flirting with Diddy, and Diddy says to her, do you want to have a freak off for one last time? She replies that she wanted to have a freak off for the first time for the rest of our lives. That is someone who was still begging for them and begging to be back with Diddy, even though she's with this chump. Not to mention the countless messages that she sent Diddy about how loved up they were. And when it came to the actual escorts that they were using for these events, she would choose them, she would book them. She was fully instrumental in the whole process. She was just as involved as Diddy was. I don't understand how, Diddy is getting done for transporting prostitutes. She was just organizing it as well. And I remember we all felt guilty for her when it came out that this escort had peed on her face or in her mouth or whatever. And then they cross-examined the escort and he was like, no, it was her who told us to do it. It wasn't just Diddy, it was her. I mean, that is a low moment really, isn't it? When you've come in acting like a victim and it's just like, me, man. What her it must be. I mean, he had children with her. Every time he kisses her, he's got to think of someone pissing in her mouth. It's just mad. And let's not kid ourselves as to why she did all of this, right? Yeah, maybe she was into the but the real reason was the financial benefits. Diddy paid for her house, cars, gifts, all of her credit cards were paid off.
In his words, Diddy was never the boss. He was the bridge between fame and something far more secretive. That means if things start to leak, he becomes a liability, a controlled sacrifice. Let him take some of the heat, lock him up for a few years if needed, but make sure the names above him stay protected. It's not a full takedown, it's a firewall. Let's go deeper. Katt has repeatedly said that powerful men in this game don't rise by talent alone. They rise because they're useful, because they collect things, information, footage, photos, secrets. Sound familiar? Decades ago, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover allegedly kept files on politicians and celebrities, using them not to arrest, but to control. Mob bosses like Meyer Lansky used similar tactics. Instead of taking out their enemies, they held leverage over them. Now, fast forward to Diddy's infamous parties. Stories about cell phones being taken at the door, secret guest lists, people being asked to do things that don't align with their public image.
And do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, you know, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he you. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers coming to make the approach.
According to Katt, those parties weren't just wild nights. They were strategic, a way to gain influence, to gather insurance. If that's true, then the real question becomes, what does Diddy know? And who's scared of what he might say next?
He's making all kind of, he got his own news network. Didn't you see, give me thoughts when you say like Bow Wow say that he is upset or he feels the way that there's no more Diddy parties. He's like almost like he's fiending for the Diddy parties. Like, man, it ain't going down like it was.
So let me ask y'all a question right now. If Bow Wow came into this room without anybody knowing anything he did, and a group of females came into this room, who gonna get the females first, y'all or him?
Definitely us.
If they don't know,
yeah, he said they don't know who Bow Wow is.
Who he is.
He's just Shad Moss from up the road. Oh, yeah, nah, we getting that action. Who gonna get the
females first?
Yeah, because Bow Wow did walk in this room, but he was Bow Wow. But no, Bow Wow is he have to like bat his eyes or something.
We don't bow ass.
Yeah, no shade to Shad. No shade to Shad.
There's no shade.
No shade to Shad, but
Right. So if you can be a person who can show up you can show up to a place, and everybody here is paid to come in here and do what they do, of course you're gonna miss that.
Yeah, man.
You going to a party and everybody
wow, man.
You can pull anybody you want, male or female, to the bathroom and get a blow.
Yeah.
You gonna miss that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, damn. All right, well, it's a drought then. It's a drought.
That drought make people crash out. So
it's a drought. What can you give me one celebrity you were surprised to see at a party in a way that you were surprised to see him, male or female? Like, you might have had an idea about him, then you see him like, there ain't no way that this person's doing this with that or doing this like that or whatever.
No.
Okay, yeah, he said, goddamn, I can't do that.
No. Like, after my first year of being working with celebrities, I figured out what it was. I said, oh, so they all like this.
Alcohol.
Huh?
Does it always start with alcohol whenever?
No, a lot of them don't even drink.
Oh.
It's just them.
Just come in like,
Bro,
I'm Greek.
so you got different levels of, but you got horny man, and then you got real horny man. You feel me?
So, what's the craziest thing you see?
I saw the animals. Well, animals were wrong.
Like the craziest thing that she was like, oh, nah, bro, I ain't, nah, bro, it's
I walked in on a guy in like a mascot outfit with another person in a mascot like outfit, like dry humping in the floor.
That's some funny shit to walk into.
Yeah, when I first seen it, I just walked past. I'm like, what the fuck is that going on? So I go to the refrigerator, I give him my
fully costume.
I don't know, man.
This wasn't a Halloween party. It don't even matter, but
no, this was March. This was not
Spring break.
They call themselves furries.
Oh.
Furry fetish.
Yeah, I quit on the spot.
I heard of that. See, yeah.
I said, I don't know.
How many? Because you said you have to go to the car lot. Like, damn, I'm gonna be in the car.
Yeah.
How many times you be like, I'm gonna just be in the car?
Yeah, so I really started making it my protocol. Like, text me if it get dangerous. I'm gonna come in and demonstrate. You feel me? But like, but you just get tired of like bro, I don't want to see naked men, bro. Yeah. That's my preference, though.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to have that preference. So like, you get tired of that, bro.
How do you handle being hit on?
Yeah, so that's another reason why I go to the car, because you can't be that guy at the gay party getting mad at the gay dudes hitting on you.
Right.
You at they function. So now you gonna be homophobic in here? You the jerk right now. You the clown.
As Diddy's trial reached its peak, something else quietly slipped into the headlines. The Department of Justice announced that the infamous Epstein client list, the one the public had waited years to see, quote unquote, doesn't exist. Gone. Erased. Forgotten. Katt draws a direct comparison. You have two powerful men, both with decades of influence, both accused of organizing behavior that benefited the rich and famous. And yet, in both cases, we're told the web doesn't go further than one man. Coincidence or a blueprint? What Katt is really saying is, don't get distracted by the fall of one figure. Ask yourself who's being protected in the background. Because justice isn't just about who goes to jail. It's about who never even gets named. Whenever someone challenges power, whether it's Dave Chappelle walking away from a massive contract or Katt Williams calling out Hollywood's dark side, the first reaction is always the same. They're crazy. They're unstable. They're just bitter.
Def County Jam 25. Oh, it's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. It's Katt Williams' good show. Services here are like that. Talking. Yes. Nanny. Well, he was right there. I would not have said that if I had seen red. Not used to quiet, introspective Katt Williams. No.
But let me ask you this. When have you ever seen this many heavy hitters all together at the same time? In the same room. Yes. Hi.
If that's the case, then it might also be said that there's nothing funnier than a black guy in a dress. Okay, well, I watched all of my friends throughout my entire life be able to dunk a basketball, but not me. So everybody can't do everything. So, some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next.
Okay.
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. End quote.
We all love Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us.
Yeah.
But now it's not necessary for us to stir up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung 1,000,000 times. I didn't understand that. They had to sting me 1,000,000 times.
Right.
I'm still not going to join, but I respect it a little more.
And yet, over time, many of the things they said turn out to be true or disturbingly close. Katt knows this strategy well. He's seen how the media spins narratives, how public opinion is shaped, how truth gets buried under jokes, memes, and distractions. But in a world built on illusion, speaking truth is the most dangerous act. And right now, he's doubling down. Let's talk about what's next. Right now, Diddy is still behind bars. His sentencing is scheduled for October 3rd, and he faces a maximum of 20 years for the charges he was convicted on. But here's the reality. Celebrities rarely serve full time, especially when they have the kind of resources Diddy has. His legal team is expected to argue for a reduced sentence, possibly even some form of alternative custody. And yet, there's a growing pressure from the public.
Welcome back. Sean Diddy Combs will be back in court today for a post-trial hearing. The court is formulating a sentencing schedule that's supposed to happen in October. The hearing comes less than a week after Combs was convicted of 2 of the 5 criminal charges in trafficking and racketeering case. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman has been following every piece of this and joins us now from outside the courthouse, where I think you live by now. You must know everybody's names, you know all the kind of the crews there back with you, you're a little family. So Katrina, what's supposed to happen today? We know that from Diddy's lawyers, they said that he was greeted with cheers back in the detention center after the verdict. So what business needs to be done in the courtroom today?
Yeah, that's all true, Errol. Today, what's happening is that Sean Combs' team says they want this sentencing to happen as soon as possible. Last week, the judge had tentatively set it for October. They want it much sooner. Last week, Sean Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, was even saying that he'd be willing to waive the ordinary probation report. The judge didn't want to do this, though, Errol. He said the parties here are just too far apart in their viewpoints about this sentencing. The maximum here is 20 years, although last week the prosecution, after doing some calculations, was then estimating more like at least 5 or 6 years. The defense was projecting more like 2 years, so there's just a really big divide here. It's also important to note that Combs has already been detained for 10 months now, so that will count towards whatever his sentence is. And his defense team says they just feel that they have strong arguments for a short sentence. They want this as soon as possible. It's also worth noting that you can't appeal until after your sentencing, so that could be on their minds as well.
And if we remember, the judge denied bail for Combs, I think because of some of the allegations made in court. I'm not, clarify for us why that was, and how likely is it that he walks free soon?
So, Errol, what the judge said here is that one of the factors he takes into account is whether the defendant poses a danger or a threat. And there were also 2 letters submitted, in addition to what the prosecution submitted to the judge, one from Cassie Ventura, that's Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend, a key witness in this trial, and she was tied to some of those charges against him, and another from Deontay Nash, another witness, a friend of Cassie. He had worked with Combs, both witnessed and experienced his violence. And they both said that they felt unsafe with Sean Combs being released. They think he poses a danger to the victims, to the witnesses in this case. Deontay Nash said that he feared retaliation. And what the judge ultimately said is that the defense, his whole defense was this was domestic violence. Sean Combs' actions, they never denied his violence. And as a result, it's just impossible for them to say that Sean Combs does not pose any danger if he's released. And on that basis, he is keeping him detained for now.
Yeah, serious accusations and Sean Combs' defense all around. Katrina Kaufman, across all of it for us. Thank you very much.
The victims, the witnesses, the broader community that feels justice must be more than just symbolism. Katt believes that if enough people keep asking questions about the trial, about the names that weren't mentioned, about the evidence that didn't make it to court, then maybe, just maybe, the cycle could start to break. This story was never just about Sean Combs. It's about a system that recycles power, protects itself, and punishes those who pull back the curtain. Katt Williams isn't perfect, But in a world full of silence, he's made himself loud. He's telling us that what we saw in court wasn't the whole truth, that the real power isn't in the courtroom, it's in the boardrooms, the studios, and the private flights where deals are made in shadows. And if we keep looking away, it'll all happen again. Different faces, same story. So the question is, how many more stories have to look the same before we finally decide to see the system for what it really is? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real.